obviously we have talked about some real stuff. It's really hard to talk about that issue because obviously people are so riled up when it comes to Roe v. Wade, and it means so much to so many different people, and at the end of the day, it is just about life, and it's hard to put your head into the perspective of another life, especially because even to think about what it would be like to be another life is actually thinking through a human's brain. Like, do you guys remember that thing? It's so funny. Do you guys remember when you're in the womb? Yeah, me neither. And it's hard, though, because I get where pro-lifers are coming from, because when you challenge it, you're not just challenging that, you challenge the religion and belief that it's based on. And to that extent, you're challenging their entire identity, which is hard. And that's why I think they push so hard on it. Like, you ever notice, like, how what is constituted to be life in a baby gets earlier and earlier? Like, it used to be like, at 24 weeks, a baby has a face. And now it's like, at 10 weeks, a baby has a restaurant in the China district and is trying to decide if it wants to keep a baby. You're like, what the fuck? And it's just, I get like the outrage. I get the upset. And it's a fucking difficult issue. Here's something I haven't seen perspective-wise from the outside, because we hear about it from the States, but I think this is something that uniquely people outside of the States can answer. Do we really want more Americans? Like, for real, if the argument comes down to the point of we want to save lives, you think that's saving lives? Sorry, but there are about 1 million Iraqis who would beg to differ, but they can't. I guess that's what it's come down to. And it's frustrating because on the flip side, like, as much as we made jokes, you guys shouldn't be talking about this, like, it does affect guys. Men have to be part of that process for a baby to even be born at every level, even in vitro fertilization. And that is really tricky. And like, I personally have struggled with that. I have huge anxiety about that kind of stuff. Like, I mean, it's fucking mental that the best we have come up with for men is a condom as well. Like, did scientists even try? That doesn't sound like scientists tried. That sounds like one dude on his day off had a crack at it and was just like, yep, let's go in the back shed, see what we can come up with, and just cut a finger hole off a fucking glove. Just whack that on there, and if a baby comes out, just fucking punch it. Like, are scientists even focusing on what this issue is? And because it relates so heavily to women, I don't think it's being given the attention it deserves, because if it was men, you know that if men were carrying the babies, that it would be a different situation. Like, we have nanotechnology now. There would be tiny little fucking dogs at the end of your dick. Just not to stop, but just to shepherd. Tiny little nanotechnology bouncer at the end of your dick, just like, how many? 5 billion. Nah, mate, we're at capacity. Like, even then, it's hard. It's really hard. I'm terrified of that kind of stuff. I had some very negative experiences when I was a kid and some close calls, and it really fucking shook me. So I had a vasectomy, right? And this is true. A lot of people don't believe me. The amount of guys who I've told in confidence, and they'll be like, you got your balls cut off? Like, it's insane. Look, just like educated professionals, fucking PE teachers teaching sex ed will be like, does like anything come out? I'm like, no, it's a fucking kazoo. It's like the noise the microwave makes when it's done. No. Like, what do you think is happening? Like, no. I think that speaks to the lack of education around the topic. But it is really hard to talk about because it comes down to life. That's how we're seeing it. But the thing is, life's all around us. It's like, it's grass, it's cows, it's animals, it's us. We really can't compare that because it's so broad. What we're really chatting about is the potential for life. And that's where it kind of comes down to, with the potential for human life. But if we're chatting about the potential life, I think we should chat about the entirety of the potentials to life, because the overwhelming evidence shows that women who have an abortion will go on to have a child that they otherwise wouldn't have had they not have had the abortion. And that child is often better financially responsible and raised in a better situation. It comes from a better home. It comes from more stable relationships, and it does better in life. So what about that potential life? That's the part that I can't get my head around. And the reality is, when we criminalize these kind of things, like, it casts a very broad net. We're talking about the potential for saving lives, but the science and the evidence strongly suggests that the otherwise happens, because when you make this illegal, it kills people. It actually kills people. People have to go through unsafe abortions. People will cause financial, mental stress, burdens. They have to stay in domestically abusive relationships. They can't move around. They have lack of access to education. It creates a situation where babies are put into public school systems that are already overworked and overstressed. And the idea that women are being selfish and considered villainous or even murderous for making a decision that makes their lives and the lives of the society and country around them worse, when at the same time, a man doing that exact same thing in war and taking a life for those same freedoms of choice to protect those same values is considered a hero. That's the part that gets to me. And that's the part that I think is the worst here, that women are considered less than, they're considered monsters, whereas the men are praised. And I just think if women are being forced to give a minute's silence for the men that would protect their freedoms, then isn't it finally time that for once women get a silent minute from the same men who would try to take them away?